Good morning, all of you. Hope you have enjoyed your dasai. So we will start today with retinal detachment. Though it is a super specialty subject, but I would like to give this because this once I saw in your paper about the retinal detachment. So what is retinal detachment? So retinal detachment, whenever you will think of retinal detachment, you might be thinking retina is separated from the other structures of the eye, but it's not like that. It is a separations between its layer. Retinal detachment is the separations of RP from the neurosensory retina. This is very important to understand, and let's go for the anatomy. So what is ora serrata? We have discussed in the first chapter about the ora serrata. It is the junction between the retina and the ciliary body, and it's characterized by the following structures. So these are the landmark for the ora serrata. So nasal ora serrata and temporal ora serrata. So nasal side of the ora serrata, it is serrated, and temporal, it is smooth, and you can see the short ciliary knobs and vortex vein along this. So when we will describe the retinal detachment, we will describe by this landmark. So dentate process are teeth-like extensions of retina onto the pars plana. They are more marked nasally than temporally and can be extreme variation in counter. So oral bays are the scaphoid edges of the pars plana epithelium in between the dental process. A meridional fold is a small radial fold of thickened retinal tissues in the line with the dental process, usually located in the superior nasal quadrant, and fold may occasionally exhibit a small retinal hood in its apex. So you can see over here the ora serrata, the nasal ora serrata which is dentate, and a meridional fold, and you can see over here the meridional fold, and at the end this is a small hole. So number B, this is the enclosed oral bay, and this is a granulation tissues. Enclosed oral bay is a small island of pars plana surrounded by a retina as a result of meeting of two adjacent dentate process. So the granulation tissue is characterized by the multiple white opacities within the vitreous space and can sometimes be mistaken from the small peripheral operculum. Operculum is just the covering, it's a covering. So at the ora, the fusions of the sensory retina with the retinal pigment epithelium and choroids limits the forward extensions of subretinal fluid. So it is very important. Ora serrata, the landmark is very important, from which the further subretinal fluid do not extend. However, there begins no equivalent adhesions between the choroid and sclera. So choroidal detachment may progress anteriorly to involve the ciliary body, or seriochoroidal detachment also. So vitreous base, this is also one of the important thing related to the retinal detachment. So where is the vitreous base? It is a base of 3 to 4 millimeter wide zone scalding the ora serrata. So the cortical vitreous is strongly attached at the vitreous base, so that the following acute posterior vitreous detachment or posterior hyaloid phase. So what is hyaloid phase? It is, there can be the anterior hyaloid phase and posterior hyaloid phase. So anterior hyaloid phase is the anteriorly attachment of the lens with the vitreous. If you imagine the structure of the eyeball anterior to posterior, there is a cornea, anterior chamber, then pupil, which is the central apertures, and behind the pupil is the lens. Then after that is a vitreous. So anteriorly anteriorly the vitreous adhesions with the lens is the anterior haloid phase, and beyond the vitreous and the retina, that is the posterior hyaloid space. So always remember, the posterior hyaloid remains attached to the posterior border of the vitreous space. So pre-existing retinal hole within the vitreous space do not lead to the RD. So there must be some force which pulls the retina to make a retinal detachment over here, because already if there is a pre-existing hole and there is no any pulling or pushing force, then there will not be retinal detachment. So this is a vitreous base where the vitreous is attached, the cortical part. So it describes the separations of neurosensory retina from the retinal pigment epithelium. This results in accumulations of subretinal fluid in the posterior space between the neurosensory retina and RPE. So there are mainly three types of retinal detachment, and some says that 4 types also. Some says that it is 2 types, rhegmatogenous and non-rhegmatogenous. So we have described like this: rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. So rhegma means break, and which occurs secondary to the full thickness defect in the sensory retina, which permits fluid derived from the syncytic vitreous to gain access to the subretinal space. So vitreous has a main role in the retinal detachment. So vitreous is in the jelly form, but gradually, with many of the risk factors or underlying causes, there is a liquefaction of this vitreous, and which leads to the they get access into the subretinal space, leading to the retinal detachment. Means there is somewhere break in case of rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. So always remember, rhegma means break. So rhegmatogenous means break, involving the break, there is a retinal detachment. Now other is a tractions, means there is a pulling. So tractions in which the neurosensory retina is pulled away from the retinal pigment epithelium by contracting vitreoretinal membrane in the absence of the retinal break. Over here you don't find any breaks, but there is some tractional force which pulls away the retina. So exudative is another cause where, due to some other secondary disease, there is accumulations of the fluid. So it is a serous type. It is secondary cause neither by a break nor by the tractions. So subretinal fluid is derived from the fluid in the vessels of the neurosensory retina, or choroids, or both. So due to some secondary disease, there is a edema leading to the exudative retinal detachment. And other is a mixed type or combined tractions and rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. As the name implies, it results in combinations of retinal breaks, and retinal traction force is also there. So retinal breaks is caused by tractions from the adjacent area of the fibrovascular proliferations, and is most commonly involved in advanced proliferative diabetic retinopathy. This is a almost end stage type of the diabetic disease, where there is a proliferative diabetic retinopathy leading to both type of retinal detachment. So some more anatomy. So vitreous adhesions. Now how these vitreous are adhered, and where are the foam attachment of the vitreous? So the peripheral cortical vitreous is loosely attached to the internal limiting membrane of the sensory retina. So now you remember the 10 layers of the retina. So among them, the internal limiting membrane. So it is loosely attached. Stronger adhesions are to the following sites. So vitreous base, which is a very strong attachment. So it is attached at the vitreous base, around the optic nerve head, where there are it's fairly strong, and around the fovea, means the macular area, where there are fairly weak except in the eyes, and vitromacular tractions and macular hole formations, and along the peripheral blood vessels. So there are weak, but these are the adhesion sites of the vitreous. So by any force, if there is a tractions in the vitreous leading to the pulling of the retina along with the vitreous occurs. So it can also lead to the vitreous hemorrhage, or it can lead to the retinal detachment, or both. So abnormal adhesions are at the following sites may be associated with the retinal tear formation as a result of the dynamic vitreoretinal tractions associated with acute posterior vitreous detachment. So what are the abnormal adhesion sites? So posterior border of the island of lattice degeneration, which is more common in case of the myopic eye. So that is why there is a high rate of the 4 times it is higher in case of the myopic, the retinal detachment is more common. Retinal pigment clumps, peripheral paravascular condensations, vitreous-based anabolies such as tongue-like extensions or posterior island, and white with pressure and white without pressure. So these are all the degenerative changes which occurs in the retina. So these are also the site for the vitreous adhesions, but these are very weak or sites for the adhesions. So what is the pathogenesis for the rhegmatogenous retinal detachment? Rhegmatogenous retinal detachment affects in 1 in 10,000 of population each year, and both eyes may eventually be involved in about 10% of the patient. And it is more common, more percentage in case of the pseudophakic eyes than in the phakic eyes. So it is characterized by the presence of retinal breaks held open by the vitreoretinal tractions that allows accumulations of liquefied vitreous under the neurosensory retina, which separates from the RPE. So retinal breaks responsible for RD are caused by the interplay between the dynamic vitreoretinal tractions and underlying weak in the peripheral retina referred to as predisposing degenerations. So what is this vitreoretinal tractions? Even though the retinal breaks is present, the RD will not occur if the vitreous is not at least partially liquefied and if the necessary traction is not present. So all these three things are important for the retinal detachment. One is retinal break itself, and other is the vitreous liquefations, that is the synergistic changes in the vitreous, and other is the traction force. So all this must be there. So this is the posterior hyaloid. So how it is detached, you can see over here like this. The vitreous is detached from the retina. So this is a posterior hyaloid membrane, and by this there is the accumulations of the fluid in the subretinal space, leading gradually to the pooling of these things and leading to the vitreous detachment. Whenever there is a small amount of the fluid, there will not be so much of the force, but when the fluid start collecting in the subretinal space, there will be this force will be more, leading to the more pooling, and there will be the detachment of the retina. So what is dynamic vitreoretinal traction? It is very important to understand this. So syneresis defines liquefations of the vitreous gel. So some eyes with syneresis develops a hole in the posterior hyaloid membrane, and fluid from within the center of the vitreous cavity passes through this defect into the newly formed retrohyaloid space. So now you see this picture again. This is a space formed between the, this is a hole. So this liquefied fluid gradually it passes from the center of the vitreous cavity through the retrohyaloid space. So this process forcibly detaches the posterior vitreous and the posterior hyaloid membrane from the internal limiting membrane of the sensory retina. So as far as posterior border of the vitreous base, because this vitreous base is attached to the internal limiting membrane. So when there is a liquefations of the vitreous, is gradually pass into the retrohyaloid space, means just behind the vitreous, and what it does is there is a separations of the posterior vitreous. Now the remaining solid vitreous also they collapse, means they forms a big hole like inferiorly, and retrohyaloid space is occupied entirely by the syncytic fluid. Now whole of the vitreous gel, now it becomes a liquefied vitreous. So the whole this space is this space is now, this space is gradually whole filled by this fluid. So when that space is whole filled by the fluid, what happens? There will be more traction and the retina will be separated. So age of the onset is typically 45 to 65 years in general populations, but may occur either in the myopic or sometimes predisposed individual, like people with the trauma, with the pseudophakic eye, or with the patient with the complicated eye, like secondary uveitis. So fellow eye frequently becomes affected within 6 months to 2 years. So always you have to check for the fellow eye. So by now you might have understood what is the retinal detachment. It is not the detachment of the retina from the vitreous. Always put it in mind. It is the separations of the RPE from the neurosensory retina due to the accumulations of the subretinal fluid in the potential space. So what are the things you will see in the thing is photopsia, which is a subjective sensation of the flashes of the light. So the most common presentation is the flashes of the light. So in the eyes with the acute PVD, it is probably caused by the tractions at the site of vitreoretinal adhesion. So sometimes the patient may not have diminution of vision at the day when they have the flashes of the light. So it is due to the flashes of the light is due to the posterior vitreous detachment, or so there when there occurs the PVD, so the adhesion site, when there is attractions, the flashes of the light occurs. So some patients who are very careful will complain to us there is a diminution of vision, sudden loss of vision, but a few hours before or a few days before I had a flashes of the light on my eyes. Some may not say, some may say that only there is a flashes of the light. The situations of the photopsia is a result of the either separations of the adhesions or complete tearing away of the piece of the retina, that is operculum. So hanging, when it is completely covered, it looks like a hanging over the surface. So in PVD, the photopsia is often described as an arc of golden or white light induced by the eye movement and is more noticeable in dim illuminations, and it tends to be projected into the patient's temporal peripheral visual field. So occasionally, photopsia precedes PVD by 24 to 48 hours. So the complaint are photopsia, that is the flashes of the light, which is due to the vitreoretinal tractions, and floaters is a moving vitreous opacities which are perceived when they cast shadow on the retina. So you will see the you can be asked what are the what is a region behind the flashes of the light, floaters of the light. So floaters are the moving vitreous opacities when they move along the retina. So the reflections from the choroids, you will see the shadow, black shadow. Vitreous opacities in the eye with the acute PVD are of the following three types. So how floaters can be described in the retinal detachment with the following types. In some floaters can be seen in some other regions also, like in high myopic eyes or with senile degenerations. But in case of the floaters with the retinal detachment, the floaters or that black shadow can be a whiz ring type, that can be the cog wave types, or that can be the sudden sour type. So what is a whiz ring? It is a solitary floaters consisting of the detached annular attachment of vitreous to the margin of disc opacity, optic disc. So when you see the optic disc with the direct ophthalmoscope or with the indirect ophthalmoscope, you will be able to see a round ring along the optic nerve head. So that is a whiz ring. And Cog waves are caused by the condensations of the collagen fibers within the collapsed vitreous cortex. So you will see just the thing hanging over there, and a certain shower of the minute red color or dark spot usually indicates a vitreous hemorrhage, and secondary to the tearing of the peripheral retinal blood vessels. So you know now where are the site of the vitreous attachment. So they are also attached to the blood vessels. So when there is a traction, the tearing occurs, resulting in a hemorrhage. So vitreous hemorrhage, which can lead to the floaters, and floaters can be like the black dots or dark spots, and which is a sour type. So vitreous hemorrhage associated with the acute PVD is usually spared due to the small caliper or peripheral retinal vessels. So which ring? You will see exactly like this ring at the retina, optic nerve head. And when you will see in the B scan, that is we have a ocular ultrasonography, which can be described in A scan, B scan, or C scan. So A scan is due to see the axial length, and B scan, which gives this hyper reflectivity over here. You can see the V's ring in the posterior vitreous detachment. And a visual field defect is perceived in a black cotton type. In some patients, it may not be present or waking in the morning due to the spontaneous absorptions of the subretinal fluid while lying inactive overnight, only to reappear later in the day. So this visual field defect is given by the patient as a falling of the cotton, black cotton. And a lower visual field defect is usually appreciated more quickly by the patient than in the upper visual field defect. So when there is an upper visual field defect, patient in the sitting positions cannot say, because when you see like this. But if it is a lower visual field defect, then the upper field is gone, so that the patient will give a fast notice. They will notice fast about it. The quadrant of the visual field in which the field defect first appears is useful in predicting the locations of the primary retinal break. So where there is the highest defect, there we say that that site is the site for the retinal breaks, which will be the opposite quadrant. And loss of the central vision may be due to either due to the involvement of the fovea by the subretinal fluid, or less frequently obstructions of the visual axis by the large upper bullous retinal detachment. So vision loss in case of the retinal detachment is due to the involvement of the fovea. So always remember that in case of in case of diabetic retinopathy, what are the main cause of the vision loss? In case of the diabetic retinopathy, the main cause of the vision loss are the macular edema or the proliferative diabetic retinopathy leading to the neovascularization, or secondary glaucoma, or due to the change in the refractive index following the high increase in the blood sugar level sometimes. So these are mainly the cause for the retinal. Otherwise, if there is a mild to moderate retinal diabetic retinopathy, you will not have the vision loss. It can be retained later on if within the short duration, if the blood sugar is controlled. But similarly, in case of the retinal detachment also, if the fovea is involved by the subretinal fluid, so it is a main cause of the central vision loss. And other is a large upper peripheral bullous RD, means there is a large bully type of the RD. Then what are the things you will see in the eye? That is a Marcus-Cohn's pupil, that is a relative apparent pupillary defect is present in the eyes with the extensive RD irrespective of the type. Intraocular pressure, which usually lowers by about 5 millimeter compared with the normal eyes. If the intraocular pressure is extremely low, we will think of it is a choroidal detachment associated with the retinal detachment also. And iritis is a very common but usually mild type. and occasionally it may be severe enough to cause the posterior synechia. In these cases, the underlying RD may be overlooked and poor visual acuity incorrectly ascribed by some other cause. That can be along with RD some other cause. And tobacco dustings will be seen as a pigment cells is seen in the anterior vitreous. So these are the very common signs which you will see in the RD along with the symptoms. So these are the different types of the retinal detachment. The fresh retinal detachment that you will see like this. The white retina along with the vessels floating over it. This is a typical presentation. And in case of the B scan ocular ultrasound, you will see like this type. It's attached and it is detached. Over here also you can see it. The shallow retinal detachment over here, and the demarcation line is there. In case of the gradual, after the few days, you can see this type of demarcation line. Subretinal demarcation line, that is a high water mark caused by the proliferations of the RPE cells at the junction of flat and detached retinas, are common and take about 3 months to develop. They are initially pigmented but tends to lose this. And demarcation lines are convex with respect to ora serrata, and they represent the site of increased adhesions. They do not invariably limit the spread of subretinal fluid. So these are the demarcation line. They are always in the convexity with the ora serrata, and there is a landmark which they do not allow to spread the further fluid. So long-standing RD, you can see the gradually the cyst formations over here, which is seen with this hyperechoic shadow in the B scan, and some pigmentary changes over here. Now coming to the tractional retinal detachment, which is caused by the diabetic retinopathy or retinopathy of prematurity and the penetrating posterior segment trauma. These are the main causes of the tractional retinal detachment. You have to remember these 3 causes in your mind. And it is due to the static vitreoretinal tractions, so which can be of the 3 types: tangential tractions, anterior posterior tractions, and breezing tractions. So rhegmatogenous is due to the dynamic vitreoretinal tractions, whereas this is due to the static vitreoretinal tractions. So tangential traction is caused by the contractions of the epiretinal fibrovascular membrane with puckering of the retina and distortions of the retinal blood vessels. So in the retinal pigment epithelium, there is some fibrovascular membrane formation following the diabetic retinopathy. And when there is the pulling of this, there result in the retinal detachment. So anterior posterior traction is caused by the contractions of the fibroretinal membrane extending from the posterior retina, usually in association with major arcade, so to the vitreous base. So it is also a type of the pulling force where the attachment site of the this fibroretinal membrane are different. So you just remember that there is some force, pulling force, that causes the retinal detachment. And the breezing or the trampoline traction is a result of contractions of fibrovascular membrane which stress from one part of the posterior retina to the another or between the vascular arcades, tending to pull the 2 involved point together. So there is a static vitreoretinal traction. That is very important. So what are the things? Symptoms, that is photopsia and floaters, are usually absent because vitreoretinal tractions develop insidiously and is not associated with acute PVD, and the visual field defect usually progress slowly and may become stationary for months or years. And the sign of the retinal detachment, so there are somewhat same sign, but over here in case you will see the shifting fluid will be there, that is depending upon the different positions, there will be the different RD. So these are the pictures showing the traction retinal detachment. In the B scan also you can see the traction retinal detachment, the fibrovascular membrane. And here you can see in case of the fresh RD or rhegmatogenous, you can see like this. Over here you will see like this. So B scan shows incomplete posterior vitreous detachment and relatively immobile retina. Now the third is the exudative type of the retinal detachment, which is characterized by accumulations of subretinal fluid in absence of retinal breaks. So it can be the vascular cause, inflammatory, neoplastic cause, disease of the retina or choroid. So however, when the normal retinal pigment epithelium pump is overwhelmed or if the RP activity is decreased, then the fluid starts to accumulate in the subretinal space. So we have discussed about the functions of the retinal pigment epithelium. So if it is disturbed, leading to the leaking of the fluid into the choroidal circulations or no fluid accumulate in the subretinal space, then the RD does not occur. So different causes are choroidal tumors, inflammation, Harada disease, bullous central serous retinopathy, iatrogenic cause following the surgery, even the RD surgery itself, hypotensive coagulopathy, or even effusion syndrome. So diagnosis is always we will do with the symptoms of the patients given by the patients and the sign which we will see in the retina because the surface is smooth and non-corrugated and detached retina is very mobile and exhibit a phenomenon of the sifting fluid over here. And the cause of the retinal detachments is choroidal tumor. We will try to find out the cause and leopard spots, that is the scattered subretinal pigment clumps, can be seen over here. So this is how we will draw the pictures of the retina. We will see anterior posteriorly and the sifting fluid you can see like this. So exudative retinal detachment by the choroidal melanoma, which is seen like this. And this is the leopard spots which can be seen in case of the exudative RD. So what is you do for the prophylaxis in case of the thing is when you see the break or any degenerations, then you go for the retinal laser or a cryotherapy. In case of the myopic or positive family history or prior cataract surgery, or if there is a detachment in the fellow eye for any type of vitreoretinal traction. So cryotherapy, it may breaks down the blood ocular barrier. So in this pseudoretinal adhesions will be there, which occurs in 6 weeks. And laser photocoagulation is causeless mobility and is the treatment of the choice for the prophylaxis except in the peripheral retinal breaks, and it requires a close chorioretinal apposition for at least 1 week and cannot be used in presence of detachment. Other type of treatment is a pneumatic retinoplexy, which is a minimum invasive and quick and office-based procedure in which the intravitreal expanding gases bubble is used to seal the retinal breaks. So we use the perfluoroprofen or we use the sulfur hexafluoride SF6. And other modalities of the treatment is the scleral buckling. So we use some material to indent and to close the retinal breaks, and we use some explant also for the silicone like this type. These are the scleral buckle and these are the expands. So we will suture like this. And other type of buccal configurations are radial, circumferential, and sarclase, that is 360 degree. And other important is the drainage of the subretinal fluid for the proper adhesions. And vitrectomy nowadays, rather than many new vitreoretinal surgeons prefer vitrectomy rather than the scleral buckling. So this has come to the treatment of the choice. So indications is it is used in case of the rhegmatogenous as well as the traction retinal detachment. So this is how we complete the retinal detachment, but the rather than the treatment portions, you should know something about the signs and symptoms and what is retinal detachment for you. Treatment can be summarized in the point by just to see the hole and seek the hole. That is how to, what are the methods of the sealing the breaks by using the scleral buckling and expand and drainage of the subretinal fluid and vitrectomy and prophylaxis measures. So myopic should have all the myopics should be evaluated. Dilated fundoscopy is must once a year because there is a retinal chance of retinal degenerations, and they should always be given the counseling about the floaters and flashes of the light along with the diminutions of the vision. This is one of the things which we should all counsel the myopic, high myopic people. And any question if you have, then you can put in your chat. And this is one of the ocular emergency, so I have described you. You may require some days somewhere. And other is the ocular emergency is CRAO, I think central retinal artery occlusion, that I would like to describe in next class, that is tomorrow. Then I will go for the CRVO and what are the things left in the retina. Because myopic people, they have the peripheral degenerations. So all the myopic people, they have all type of retinal degenerations, that is lattice degenerations, which is one of the risk factors for the retinal detachment. Vitreoretinal tractions, there are two types, usually the dynamic, which is a movement vitreoretinal tractions, and other is the static type, which is the stationary type, which occurs in the traction type of the retinal detachment. So dynamic vitreoretinal traction is always due to the syneresis, that is the liquefations of the vitreous gel. So due to this, there occurs a hole in the posterior hyaloid membrane, and fluid from this within the central of the vitreous cavity passes to the newly formed retrohyaloid space. So there occurs a one type of fluid accumulate, and gradually the pressure will be increased, and that increase of the pressure will gradually pull the retina towards it. So there is a separations of this retina from the neurosensory retina. So remaining solid vitreous gel, they collapse inferiorly, and retrohalite space is completely occupied by this fluid, and there cause a pulling. So pulling force is more, so it results in due to the separations of this. Okay, thank you all. So you please go through it, so in your book.